Every luxury piece starts with a life. Follow the path from swamp to showroom to see how raw nature becomes high-end design. Dive with me inside a frog leather factory. At sunrise, the wetlands reveal the first stage of life. Clusters of eggs rest in the still water, shifting gently beneath the surface. In this quiet place, the long journey of controlled farming begins. To protect their survival, workers gather the eggs by hand. Each cluster is lifted gently and placed into clean, water-filled containers. Every movement is slow and precise to prevent damage. The filled containers are sealed, labeled, and checked for transport. Workers load them onto carts and carry them out of the wetlands. From here, the fragile cargo moves toward controlled incubation. The crates are brought into a regulated facility where conditions can be managed exactly. Inside, the eggs are placed onto incubation trays, the first major step in their development. In this controlled room, every detail is monitored. Rows of shallow trays hold the developing eggs under precise temperature and oxygen levels. Technicians move quietly, checking instruments that keep the entire system stable. Specialized instruments track temperature, oxygen, and water quality. Even small changes can affect development, so workers test and adjust the trays constantly. Each egg depends on these carefully maintained conditions. Inside the trays, the embryos grow quickly. Pigment darkens, movements increase, and each day brings them closer to hatching. This is one of the most sensitive stages of their entire development. Over time, the eggs begin to shift and open. Tiny tadpoles break free, entering the water for the first time. As more hatch in succession, the trays fill with new life preparing for the next phase. In the early growth stage, thousands of tadpoles gather in shallow tanks. They swim in dense, synchronized swarms, constantly moving through clean, controlled water. Here, their development depends on stable light, temperature, and flow. Automated feeders release tiny nutrient pellets throughout the day. Tadpoles rush toward the falling food, while filters keep the water clear. The entire system is designed to support uniform, healthy growth. As in any large population, not all tadpoles survive. Filtration systems remove natural debris to keep the tanks clean. Workers monitor these areas closely to maintain water quality and stability. Technicians track growth carefully, measuring size and recording daily data. A few tadpoles are gently checked to confirm their progress. These records guide adjustments that support the next stage of development. As the days pass, the tadpoles begin to transform. Hind legs appear first, then front limbs, while their tails shrink gradually. This shift marks the beginning of their metamorphosis into froglets. In transition tanks, the young froglets learn to move between water and land. Stepping platforms and ramps help them breathe air and rest above the surface. Each one adapts at its own pace. Once fully formed, the frogs gather on warm rocks and ledges. Their bodies are stronger, their patterns more defined, and their movements more coordinated. Here, they prepare for the next stage of growth. Modern enclosures guide their feeding and behavior. Automated systems deliver nutrients while groups gather to eat together. These controlled routines help ensure consistent, healthy development. In a sterile processing room, workers prepare their tools with precision. Tables are organized with measuring equipment and grading sheets. Every step is controlled to ensure a clean, consistent evaluation process. Each frog is examined humanely for size, symmetry, and natural pattern. Technicians measure carefully and record every detail. These early checks determine how each animal will be graded. Premium-grade animals display clean patterns and even coloration. Workers inspect them closely, comparing markings to reference charts. Only the most uniform examples receive the highest classifications. While grading continues, the equipment for the next stage is prepared. Surfaces are sanitized, settings adjusted, and containers organized. The facility moves with quiet precision, ready for the following steps. In a sterile processing room, workers prepare specialized tools with care. Every station is organized, every surface sanitized. This controlled setup ensures consistency before the next steps begin. The removal process is precise and methodical. Workers focus on technique, using steady, practiced motions to separate the material. Only the craftsmanship is shown, keeping the procedure strictly professional. After preparation, each piece is rinsed and inspected. Workers check thickness, symmetry, and surface quality under bright lights. Clean water and careful handling prepare the material for preservation. The clean pieces are packed into trays of coarse salt for preservation. Salt stabilizes the material and protects it from degradation. Once cured, the trays move along a conveyor toward the drying area. In the early morning, transport trucks arrive at the tannery. Inside each crate are salted, preserved materials ready for processing. Workers prepare to unload and move them into the facility. Workers lift the trays onto rolling carts and move them indoors. As they enter the tannery, the environment shifts to a cooler, controlled space. Here, the sorting process begins. Each piece is inspected for thickness, size, and natural pattern. Technicians stretch and measure the surface with digital tools. These evaluations determine how each batch will be categorized. After sorting, every detail is recorded and labeled. Workers apply barcodes, take reference photos, and group materials by grade. The sorted batches are then prepared for the tanning process. Inside the tannery, massive drums rotate slowly, treating each batch with controlled motion and temperature. Workers monitor every setting, ensuring the materials inside receive the exact conditions needed for tanning. Tanning agents are added in precise amounts, combining chemicals and natural extracts. Technicians measure each component carefully, adjusting mixtures to create the right balance for softening and preservation. After processing, a sample is tested for softness, thickness, and flexibility. Under bright inspection lights, workers stretch and examine the material to confirm it has absorbed the tanning agents correctly. The treated pieces hang to dry as warm air circulates through the hall. Moisture removal machines press out excess water, preparing the material for the next stages of coloring and finishing. In the dye hall, each piece is lowered into vats of rich, vivid color. Steam rises as pigments swirl through the water. The material slowly absorbs each layer, beginning its transition toward a finished tone. After dyeing, workers brush additional layers by hand. Each stroke deepens the color and highlights the natural texture. Multiple coats are applied until the tone becomes uniform and stable. To enhance definition, industrial embossing machines press detailed patterns into the surface. Heated rollers apply steady pressure, creating clean, refined grain lines. These textures give each piece its distinctive character. In UV tunnels, the dyed material dries under controlled light. Workers polish edges and perform final checks as each sheet emerges smooth and vibrant. From here, the leather is ready for cutting and crafting. In the workshop, artisans shape each piece by hand. Workbenches are lined with tools, stencils, and freshly finished material. Here, craftsmanship takes over as designers prepare every detail with care. Each pattern is aligned carefully with the natural grain. Designers cut along metal stencils with exact precision, ensuring clean, perfect edges. These pieces form the foundations of wallets, belts, and bags. At the assembly tables, machines stitch the components together. Edges are folded, seams pressed, and linings added. Every step blends technique and craftsmanship to shape the final product. Finished pieces are polished, inspected, and placed into luxury packaging. Boxes are lined, labels attached, and shelves filled for export. Each item now carries the signature look of high-end craftsmanship. In controlled tanks, frogs live in managed conditions, far from the environments their species once knew. Yet in the wild, life moves freely, shaped by water, sunlight, and shifting seasons. The contrast raises a quiet question about the cost of production. Each finished piece carries the trace of where it began. Behind the polished surface lies a long chain of labor, control, and transformation. As luxury meets nature, we're left to consider what that balance truly costs.